It is an absolutely beautiful day out here. I'm out here absorbing some vitamin D, getting some sunshine, just enjoying looking at the garden and enjoying my tea. That jasmine smells beautiful. Just out here in the garden this morning, looking around, listening to the birds. Clematis is doing really good. The rose bushes look good. I don't see any sign of black spot. I fought that last year. I'm hoping that I don't have it this year. Madeline's toys. My little grandbaby. She loves her stuffed animals and she's throwing them out here in the garden. Everything is coming out beautifully for this time of the year. It's a warm day today. Little violets and dandelions, you know they're welcome in my garden. Some irises over here. The clematis over here coming out. Okay, we're out here in the backyard today. It is absolutely beautiful out here. We've got the red buds blooming. And remember, we're in the neighborhood, so the neighbors are cleaning out their car and they've got music blaring and it's coming down here. And that's the way it is in the neighborhood. You're going to hear other people's music and things, whether conversations, whatever it might be, whether you want to hear that or not. Good morning, Ollie. But I wanted to bring you out here to the backyard. It's probably about 78 degrees. I mean, it is beautiful out here today. There is a wind blowing. If you can see that little bush blowing, then you know that that's blowing. And it's really warm, but it's just got a wonderful breeze moving. So it's just a beautiful and a pleasant day. Well, this is our first no dig, no till little garden. There's some weeds there, or herbs if you use them. Purple dead nettle, that's got to come out. This campaign we're leaving in here this year. We probably won't leave it all. My brother-in-law would like a few starts, so I'm going to dig up some for him and let him take those to his place. And we're just going to go ahead and plant our vegetables around the few that I decide to leave in the garden. Now over here we've got our little apple tree. This will be the second year that we've got our little apple tree. And you can see it's got its little buds. It's starting to come out. So I know one day this will be big and probably will shade this whole garden. So we're just going to enjoy it while we can, but it'll take a while to get there. So we'll put our garden here while we can. Now we've put some compost here. Donald's composted this garden during the winter. So it's getting ready for us to go ahead and plant it. This is something I don't want inside of this garden. It can grow, but not here. We've got an elderberry bush that stays on the side, and there's another one that's over here. And we've got this elecampane rosettes here that we're going to work into our garden. And I'm just out here kind of seeing what is going to go. Last year we had the tomatoes. I know I've already told you this, but I'm just reminding myself and telling you that last year we had the tomatoes up here on this upper side. And you can see at this time of the day, it's a little bit shady. It's around noon. So we're going to put our tomatoes down this side of the garden this year, where they'll get more sun. Plus, this is the upper side of the garden. It's kind of on a slope. So we're thinking the upper side of the garden will drain and it'll get more water down here on this side too. So that's where the tomatoes are going this year. We might not have as many tomatoes as we had last year because we are going to kind of just have fewer plants and concentrate mainly on how much we attention and space we give to just a fewer plants, but with more detail to attention to them, providing the things that they need. Now last year, I don't know if you watched the video, but I had a zucchini plant, and that plant was actually bigger than me. I had a 5 foot or about a 5.5 foot zucchini plant that grew down here last year. So this is a really good fertile place. I think the tomatoes will do better down here this year. I'm looking forward to trying them. Speaking of tomatoes, before the end of this video, I'll show you 2 of my favorite varieties that I grow every year. That's a family tradition in our family. Now up on this end, of course, is the kids' garden. Now last year we let the kids plant pumpkins in here. Each grandchild got to plant a pumpkin. And they were delighted with the little orange pumpkins that they got to get from their own little garden back here at Grammy's and Grampy's. So this year we're going to probably do the same thing. We'll probably show them the seed packs and let them plant whatever their little heart's desire wants to plant that we've got enough space for. We'll let them pick something out. I don't know if that'll be pumpkins or what it will be. I know we will plant some cherry tomatoes out here, because the kids love to come and harvest those. It just delights them to be able to come and pick some cherry tomatoes. They'll eat them, and then they'll bring them inside, and they'll share them with Grampy, and they just get so excited that they've got those little cherry tomatoes. And that's what's going on out here right now in our little garden area. And then flower bed wise, you know, I did have an elderberry here, and we cut that back because it was getting huge, and we wanted the things that were behind it here to be able to get the sunlight that they needed to bloom. There's a heirloom rose bush that we've had for a long time, and then there's the wisteria right here that one day when we get a new deck, that wisteria, we're going to try to train it to grow up over the deck and provide shade. But we do have elderberries here in this little garden on this end. And then right here you can see out in the pathway there's some little elderberries that's decided to jump out into the pathway, so we'll dig those up. That's how they grow. They grow by the roots. The roots spread and plants come up on them. That's how you can get new elderberry plants for other areas, and it's also a good way to propagate if you want more than just 1 or 2. Now this is a little snowball bush, or a small hydrangea that I rooted. I still got it in a pot, and I'll have to find a place to put it. And over here is this little side garden that I did a little bit with last year. If you saw the video, I planted this wheelbarrow, and I look forward to planting that wheelbarrow again. I look forward to either starting seeds and my own plants to go in there, or going and finding some perfect plants that go there. Now the problem that I had with planting this wheelbarrow last year was I planted a lot of sun-loving plants in there. They were semi-shade, but they were really reaching for the sun. I've got this wisteria right here that is kind of over this, and of course when the leaves, after this thing blooms, the beautiful lavender blooms, grape-like clusters of flowers that gets on this wisteria. After it blooms, there'll be the leaves that come on out, and this creates a shaded garden area. Well, I planted these semi-shade loving plants because there's also sun that comes in from this side here, right here. And I wanted, you know, to plant plants that would do well in the sun and do well in the shade. Well, what happened with this beautiful wheelbarrow after it bloomed, and watch my channel on that. I mean, watch my video on that on my channel if you're interested in it. But the thing about it is all the plants wanted to reach to the right where the sun came in. So that's the dilemma that I had. So this year I'm planning on planting more shade-loving plants, or pulling this wheelbarrow out from under this wisteria canopy so that there's more sun that shines on it. I may just pull it on up here closer to the top of it, and then that way I can just plant full sun plants, and that'll solve that problem. I've also got little plants that I started from the front of the house that I wanted to pull back here. This is another one of those snowball bushes. It has the little about baseball sized snowball balls of flowers on it that are white, and they're beautiful. And also I have this little piece of pipe that Donald brought from work, and I just like the way that it looked, and it's got garden soil in it right now, but I'm going to plant something inside of that, maybe fill it like halfway full of soil, and then just plant plants in front of that. But I've got all of this to clean up. There's some spearmint out here, and there's the climbing rose bush. And then right here on this side is Donald's honeysuckle. It's one of his favorite plants, so of course that's going to stay. And not only do we like that because it's beautiful and it covers, but it provides a element of privacy right here. So we'll be keeping that. And then these things here, we'll be judging what stays and what doesn't stay, and we'll be organizing. Maybe have to replace this fence this year, but there's some things that we've got in the works here. Now this walkway here that I've got right here, this I poured from a mold from Lowe's. It's been years and years ago. And I poured this walkway because it would just stay really muddy right through here if I hadn't have done that. So when you come in the garden gate, to the left we've got our stone wall, which needs to be relaid. But, you know, that may or may not take place since I have impingement syndrome on my right shoulder. That's my dominant arm. I probably will not be able to lift these rocks this year. So that may or may not happen, but we'll see what we can do to it. Maybe Donald will want to do that. We can get these things looking neater. I did not work on this bed very much last year. The only thing I did was plant that wheelbarrow because you know, there just wasn't enough time to get back here. But I am going to do that this year, and I look forward to sharing that with you when I do that. And of course, over here is our main compost pile. We have a huge wisteria that's right here. Right here beside the red buds. Look how beautiful the red buds are. I make jelly from those red buds, and on my channel there's a video on how to make red bud jelly. And right here is the wisteria. It grows and when it fills out with the blooms, it's beautiful. I hope to share those with you this year. And also when the blooms are gone and the leaves come out. This is some of last year's blooms that's hanging here. But they're grape-like clusters of just beautiful lavender flowers. Whenever that fills in, that's an element of privacy right here, which is something we struggle with here in the city, is having an element of privacy when you're so close to other houses. And of course, that's just part of city life, isn't it? But we are looking forward to doing what we can out here to make this entrance beautiful. Got to catch these herbs growing here. Look at this. We've got wild lettuce, purple dead nettle, and dandelions. But this is where the little pathway stops. We used to have a gate right here that went across, And that's something we may do again to keep the kids from coming down, you know, too close to the entrance and exit of that gate. We want to put a barrier. We don't want anybody to be able to come to the backyard right here, to the back gate, and just stand and be able to look up here and see our grandkids. We want an element of privacy and a little barrier there that'll keep them from going down that way, and it'll also keep anybody else from coming up. Of course, we keep that gate locked, and Ollie's back here, and we have cameras. You know, that's a necessity of living in the city, isn't it? Well, there's plenty of work to be done out here. There's lots to do. Thank you for letting me share with you some of the garden plans that's coming up on this beautiful, beautiful day. The wind has blown my hair. I'm truly out here on a work day, and I'm enjoying the sun. I'm soaking up some of this vitamin D. Thank you for joining me today, and like always, until next time. Well, I've already signed off, but if you stayed to the end, I wanted to share with you these two types of tomatoes. Now, these are the same kind, but these tomatoes have always been in our vegetable garden. These were Donald's grandma's favorite tomatoes. She grew them and she canned tomatoes and made many delicious dishes over the years. And these were her preference for tomatoes. She loved Rudigers, and she loved Brandywine tomatoes. So the Rudigers she canned and made sauces out of, and sauces and mainly just canned tomatoes for other dishes. She grew these out in the full sun out in the fields where they raised tobacco. They would also plant these Rudiger tomatoes in a garden that was near that. And this was a staple in her garden ever since I knew her. Donald says she always planted these two tomatoes. And the good things about these tomatoes is you can save the seeds for next year. She planted the Rudigers because they had a good acid level and a good flavor for canning. And so they were always a staple in her garden, and they have been a staple in our garden ever since we've had a house of our own. And then she planted the Brandywine, which is a delicious slicing tomato for sandwiches and just eating on the side of, using as a side dish on the plate of meals. So Brandywine heirloom tomatoes and Rudigers are two famous tomatoes that were in our family's gardens. And I promised that I'd share those with you. They've always been in our gardens, and they will always be in our garden. Thank you for letting me share those with you.